Okay, so I'm excited today that we have an expert in this big giant field or umbrella of self-care. And as a self-care mentor, I love inviting other experts to come on and share their perspective and their wisdom, with the hope that you'll have some takeaways that can be applied in your own life, of choosing great vibrancy. So today we have expert Carol Pilkington. So Carol is a spiritual teacher and an author. And what I took to your biography is that you really are a guide, that you guide people through anxiety, through loss, whether it be something that they're dealing with presently or something that is perhaps from long ago, from the past. And so you work one-on-one with clients to help them to get to a place where they're really enjoying their life, they're experiencing joy again, and living a vibrant life.
Absolutely.
So wonderful. So at the end, or in the comments, I'll definitely have included a way for people to get in touch with you if they'd like to follow you or schedule a one-on-one with you, Carol. So wonderful. So thank you for being here. And what I want to ask you, as a self-care mentor myself, tell us what your perspective is about why self-care is so incredibly important.
Well, self-care is different things to different people, it's not just one thing. And so with regards to self-care, it can be taking time out for oneself in the form of quiet time, it could be reading, getting together with friends, or a spa day. In other words, doing an activity for one's enjoyment alone. However, my experience of self-care also includes going deeper to make all those things and others more enjoyable and organic, rather than feel like they are escapes with a pending dread, if you will, of going back to either taking care of another. And we all know that guilt can creep in for taking that time out. And then we're not fulfilled by the experience of taking that time out to begin with. So it's a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm. I think I like that point you just made. And it's interesting. I just came back from being on vacation. I was gone all last week. I was in California with family. And someone said, we were sitting there, it was Sunday night in the airport. And they said something about how, it's sad to go back to work. Kind of that old dread of Sunday night because you're going back to work. And I think that's interesting what you're saying about self-care, because self-care can be, in essence, a vacation we give ourselves, but it doesn't have to be going away anywhere. And you can give yourself that reprieve, that vacation, that moment of doing something that gives you joy and a breath, throughout the day. So that, we may be doing work that feels like it's not as free as being on vacation. And yet we have the opportunity to take those breaks as often as we can possibly, squeeze them in.
Right. And then the other thing too is allowing oneself that quiet contemplative time to examine and reflect on what one really is feeling about themselves, their life, and what is the nature of what is showing up in the moment. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, major shifts can happen. But we're so programmed to push and fill our time up with stuff. Mm-hmm. And we don't have the tools even sometimes to engage in a process of contemplation and inquiry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just simple quiet time to check in and to feel, to be aware of what we're feeling. That's self-care.
Exactly.
And it's so important because if we don't have that consciousness, and it's easy to get unconscious and get involved in an activity, or maybe it's a conversation or something that triggers us so that we kind of lose our connection with self. That happens, unless you're someone who's practicing yoga and deep meditation for 8 hours a day, someone to that of a mastery level. For those of us that are simply, working and have families and we're living our lives, I think the best we can hope for is to go in and out of that consciousness. And I think it's those opportunities to really raise our awareness of when we're out of alignment and to catch it so that we don't spend the next 4 or 5 hours disconnected from ourselves and not feeling good. Like, I think that's for me, that's the red flag. If I start feeling a certain way, you deal with people that feel heaviness of heart or anxiety. And so to have those moments to reflect in and say, what's happening here? Why am I feeling this way? And I think that's a trained practice.
Very much so. People don't often know how to do that. And it's really important that we develop that training for ourselves, because when we do take time out with others, we can do it more authentically. We can be more present to every moment of our life and the people that are in our life.
Yeah, very, 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 very true. Very true. So share with us, because we love stories, share with us a story of someone that you've worked with and how this work has made such a big difference in their life.
Really interesting when people begin to do this work. They're a little bit afraid to see what's really going on inside. And the more honest we are with ourselves, and it takes a lot of courage to do that because we're not used to it. And we think we are all of those terrible things that might come into our consciousness as negative things about ourselves. But when we don't really look at them, they become the biggest boogeyman in the world. And so this one person that I was working with really confronted the fact that she felt that she was always giving in to everybody else, and she tended to live in the past. And she wanted to be more present, especially with, a new family starting with her kids and stuff like that. She's got new grandkids. And so when she began doing this work, she realized that all of the things in the past that kept pulling her back were not really relevant to her present anymore.
Yeah.
And so she gained the tools to be able to be more present to the life that she's actually living right now. And she felt free, unchained from the past, if you will, to be able to live more in present time and without judgment. Sometimes we feel like we're lapsing back when we're doing this work, but it's really not lapsing back. Just new things, another layer is popping up to be seen. And what she realized was that it's okay, that she's not falling backwards, and that there is no need to have judgment about it. It's just another thing to see.
Yeah,
very rewarding.
That's wonderful.